In October 2023, heartbreaking news of a sudden loss spread around the world, leaving many in mourning. Matthew Perry, star of Friends, is dead at 54. He was known for playing the sarcastic but lovable Chandler Bing and for his struggles with drugs and alcohol, which he chronicled in a memoir. Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing is a 2022 memoir by Canadian-American actor Matthew Perry. The book recounts the impact of parental divorce on Perry's childhood, his teenage years as a nationally ranked tennis player, and his fame as Chandler in the sitcom Friends. The Big Terrible Thing of the title refers to the author's life-threatening battle with addiction to drugs and alcohol. Perry's motivation for sharing his experiences is to help other people living with addiction. Recurring themes in the memoir include the nature of addiction, fear of abandonment, and the fantasy and the reality of fame. The narrative tone is frank and often darkly humorous. Matthew Perry's meteoric rise to fame resulted from the cultural phenomenon of Friends. One of the most successful television series of all time, the American sitcom ran for 10 seasons from 1994 to 2004. The show revolved around six 20-something single friends living in New York City: Chandler, Matthew Perry, Joey, Matt LeBlanc, Monica, Courtney Cox, Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow, Rachel, Jennifer Aniston, and Ross, David Schwimmer. Relative unknowns when the show started, the cast quickly became famous. They were also close friends off-screen. Praised for its witty scripts and the chemistry of its cast members, Friends was nominated for numerous comedy awards. The show's finale received the highest viewing figures of any television episode in the 2000s. A reunion special with the cast members aired on HBO Max in 2021. Friends is often credited as the forerunner of many modern sitcoms. The show's iconic status was due to a combination of distinctive features. Created as an ensemble piece, the show featured no starring role, an unusual format at the time. Its popularity attracted many famous guest stars, including Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Reese Witherspoon, Kathleen Turner, and Bruce Willis. A running joke was that all episode titles began with the one, e.g., the one with Chandler's dad. Most significantly, the show provided a fresh take on life as a 20-something living in New York City. While more traditional sitcoms focused on family life, Friends presented its characters as an unconventional family unit, supporting each other through the challenges of early adulthood. Consequently, the show resonated with people of a similar age group. In addition to acquiring many fans, Friends had a broader cultural impact on American society. Jennifer Aniston's hairstyle on the show was so widely emulated that it became unofficially known as the Rachel. Elements of the character's speech patterns also filtered into widespread use. Joey's catchphrase, "How you doin'?" became popular as a humorous greeting. Chandler's sarcastic emphasis on certain words, such as, "Could I be more sorry?" was also popularized. Perry asserts in his memoir, "I don't think it's an exaggeration to suggest that Chandler Bing transformed the way America spoke." In Friends, Lovers, and The Big Terrible Thing, Perry provides considerable insight into the making of Friends. The author confirms that the cast members were close friends behind the scenes, and the show was a creative and collaborative experience. He praises David Schwimmer's generosity, revealing that when Schwimmer's star power was at its peak, he used his newfound capital to negotiate higher salaries not only for himself but for all the principal cast members, who earned over $1 million per episode at the peak of the show's success. More personal revelations in the memoir include Perry's unreciprocated crush on Jennifer Aniston and his romance with Julia Roberts, which began when she guest appeared on the show. Most enlightening are the author's descriptions of his addictions during the filming of Friends. Perry reveals that his appearance in each season reflects the trajectory of his substance use, and tells numerous stories about the challenges of filming while under the influence of substances or in withdrawal, including the revelation that he traveled from a rehabilitation center to film the famous episode in which his character, Chandler, wedded Courtney Cox's. To watch those episodes after reading the memoir is inevitably to view them in a new light, not only as television but as a record of one real person's struggle with addiction. Nevertheless, Perry emphasizes the supportiveness of his co-stars throughout his issues and describes acting in the show as the time of our lives. Chapter 1: The View. Perry is 52 years old as he writes his memoir. He owns a house overlooking the ocean in the Pacific Palisades, west of Los Angeles. Despite craving a life partner, he remains single, having ended many relationships with women due to his profound fear of rejection. He tells the story of his childhood. Perry's parents met in 1967 at the Canadian University Beauty Pageant in Ontario. Suzanne Langford was the previous year's winner, and John Bennett Perry was the leader of the Serendipity Singers. Both were, according to Perry, uncommonly attractive, and they quickly fell in love. In 1969, 21-year-old Suzanne gave birth to Matthew during a snowstorm. He often had colic, and a doctor prescribed phenobarbital, a barbiturate, to help him sleep. The pair separated when Perry was 9 months old. After leaving Suzanne and the baby with her parents, John Bennett Perry moved to California to pursue his dream of being an actor. Perry visited his father in California for the first time at age 5. His mother sent him as an unaccompanied minor on a flight from Montreal to Los Angeles, and Perry recalls his terror on the flight and the relief he felt when he finally saw the lights of Los Angeles below, indicating that he would soon be with his father. During Perry's childhood, his mother worked long hours as press secretary to Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. Due to her beauty and charisma, she became a minor celebrity. As a boy, Perry felt resentful of the all-consuming nature of her work, and the adult Perry claims to have first developed his comedic skills in a childhood effort to win his mother's attention. His mother's job required frequent travel, and Perry recalls that whenever he saw a plane flying overhead while his mother was away, he would ask his grandmother whether she was on board. A lonely child, Perry filled his time by playing tennis. He and his mother moved house frequently. Although his father called every Sunday, he was present on TV more than in person. Perry recalls the confusion he felt seeing his father in Old Spice aftershave commercials with a younger actor playing his son. On the rare occasions they were together, Perry pretended to be Batman and cast his father as Superman. Every birthday, he wished for his parents to reconcile. Perry's mother switched careers, becoming a news anchor on Canadian television. She then married broadcast journalist Keith Morrison. Suzanne and Keith had 2 daughters together, Caitlin and Emily. Perry loved his sisters but increasingly felt like an outsider in the family. His grades declined, he began smoking, and he beat up the Canadian Prime Minister's son, Justin, the future Canadian Prime Minister. Perry got the lead role in a play at his all-boys secondary school in Ottawa. Enjoying the onstage attention, he continued acting in school productions. Perry was good friends with brothers Chris and Brian Murray, and the 3 boys developed a distinctive style of talking, making comments like, "Could it be any hotter?" By the age of 14, Perry was a nationally ranked tennis player and also had his first taste of alcohol. He drank a bottle of wine while the Murray brothers consumed a 6-pack of beer. The brothers were soon vomiting, but Perry felt a sense of contentment as if all his issues had disappeared. At the age of 15, to the sorrow of his mother and grandparents, he decided to live with his father and his father's new wife in Los Angeles. Chapter 2: Another Generation Shot to Hell. 15-year-old Perry arrives in Los Angeles. He quickly gives up his dream of becoming a tennis champion, discovering that the standard for tennis players is much higher in California. Instead, he decides to become an actor with his father's help. When Perry lands the lead role in a play at his new school, his father presents him with the book Acting with Style. The inscription reads, "Another Generation Shot to Hell." Perry's father drinks several vodka tonics each night but is seemingly unaffected the next day. When his father and stepmother are out, Perry tries his father's vodka and experiences an existential crisis. Desperate for fame, Perry attends regular auditions. Consequently, he gets a small role in the TV series Charles in Charge. One day, he is entertaining a group of women in a Hollywood cafe when a man presents him with a note on a napkin. The message is from film director William Richard, inviting Perry to appear in his next movie. In A Night in the Life of Jimmy Reardon, Perry plays the best friend of lead actor River Phoenix. Phoenix and Perry become friends during filming. Before graduating from high school, Perry also guest appears on several shows. When both his parents attend his graduation, Perry realizes they are entirely incompatible, and their divorce was inevitable. For several years, Perry believes he is impotent after his first drunken attempt at sexual intercourse is unsuccessful. At 18, he is dating Tricia Fisher, Carrie Fisher's half-sister. Eventually admitting the issue to Tricia, he loses his virginity to her. Now confident of his virility, Perry sleeps with many women in succession. Chapter 3, Baggage. 17-year-old Perry and his father audition to play father and son in the TV show Second Chance. Only Perry gets the part. 2 years later, the author lands a role in the comedy sitcom Sydney along with another young actor, Craig Bierko. Perry falls in love with the show's star, Valerie Bertinelli, who is married to rock star Eddie Van Halen. One night Perry and Bertinelli have a long, elaborate make-out session while Eddie Van Halen is passed out drunk. Perry anticipates Bertinelli leaving her husband, but at work, she behaves as if nothing happened. Devastated and uncomfortable working with Bertinelli after the incident, Perry is glad when the show is cancelled. Perry becomes close friends with fellow actors Craig Bierko, Hank Azaria, and David Pressman. All four want to be famous. Most days, they meet for lunch or go out drinking together. During a trip to Vegas, Perry wins $2,600 and asks a cab driver to take them to an establishment where they can pay for sex. Perry spends $1,600 on a bottle of champagne before they are shown to separate rooms. The waiting women ask for $300 and perform a dance. With no money left, Perry and his friends leave the establishment disappointed. Aged 21, Perry realizes he may have an alcohol addiction. One night, he goes back to his girlfriend Gabby's apartment with friends. Although he has been drinking all evening, Perry cannot enjoy himself as there is no alcohol available. Perry's friends are unaware he has a problem as he hides how much he drinks when alone. He progresses to drinking a party-size bottle of vodka within 2 days. By 1994, Perry and his close friends are all auditioning for the same parts. Bierko is the most successful in getting roles. While his friends take their careers seriously and stop attending their daily lunches, Perry misses auditions due to his drinking. One day his manager warns him that he cannot hope to emulate his heroes, Tom Hanks and Michael Keaton, if he does not keep himself in shape. Perry is desperate for money and agrees to appear in the sci-fi comedy LAX 2194. As he commits to the pilot, he learns that the script for a new show, Friends Like Us, is available. After reading the script, Perry feels that the part of Chandler Bing is made for him. However, his agents insist he fulfills his commitment to the other show. Hank Azaria unsuccessfully auditions for the role of Joey in Friends Like Us. Craig Bierko then asks for his friend's advice. Revealing he has been offered the role of Chandler and also the leading role in the show, Best Friends, he asks which job he should accept. Despite their envy, Perry and Azaria both advise Bierko to take the part of Chandler. However, Bierko chooses the role in Best Friends. When Bierko declines Friends Like Us, TV executive Jamie Tarses suggests Perry for the unfilled role. He auditions and gets the part, noting that 3 weeks earlier he prayed to God to make him famous no matter the cost. Chapter 4, Like I've Been There Before. Perry meets the cast of Friends Like Us, Jennifer Aniston, Matt LeBlanc, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, and David Schwimmer. All are strangers except Aniston, whom he unsuccessfully tried to date 3 years earlier. Cox is the best-known actor but emphasizes the show will be an ensemble piece, with no one character taking precedence. The cast immediately bonds, and Perry senses how successful the show will be. He feels happy during filming, enjoying the opportunity to contribute funny lines to the script. Consequently, he drinks less at night and loses weight between shooting the pilot and the first series. The show gets a prime slot, and the title is shortened to Friends. Perry realizes that he is still attracted to Aniston, but it is clear his feelings are not reciprocated. Before the show's airing, the cast is advised to make the most of their anonymity. They spend a weekend in Vegas together, and Perry travels to Mexico alone. In Los Angeles, Perry attends a party and enjoys a make-out session in a closet with actress Gwyneth Paltrow. When Friends airs in September 1994, it receives mixed reviews but swiftly gains an audience, soon becoming one of the most popular sitcoms on television. Secretly, Perry worries that his addictions will jeopardize everything. Shortly after Perry lands the role of Chandler, Craig Bierko moves to New York. The show he chose instead of Friends is not a success, and he does not keep in touch. A couple of years later, Bierko contacts Perry and apologizes. He admits that he could not cope with his friend becoming wealthy and famous from the role he declined. Perry tells Bierko that being famous does not solve anything, but his friend finds this hard to believe. Chapter 5: No Fourth Wall. During the first season of Friends, David Schwimmer becomes the most high-profile cast member after starring in a movie and appearing on The Tonight Show. He suggests to the rest of the cast that they should all ask for the same fee when they renegotiate their contracts. Consequently, by the final season, they are all making over $1 million per episode. By the end of 1995, Perry is dating Julia Roberts. Their relationship begins after Roberts agrees to make a guest appearance on Friends if she can be in Chandler's storyline. Perry sends flowers to the famous movie star, and they fax each other daily for 3 months. By the time Roberts appears on Friends, they are a couple. They spend New Year's Eve in New Mexico, playing football in the snow and driving to a mountaintop. By April 1996, Perry is single again. Convinced that Roberts will grow tired of him, he breaks up with her to avoid the pain of rejection. Later that year, he has a role in the movie Almost Heroes alongside comic actor Chris Farley. Both actors struggle to function during filming due to their addictions. Chris Farley dies the following year from a drug overdose. After finishing season 2 of Friends, Perry shoots the movie Fool's Rush in with Salma Hayek. During filming in Las Vegas, Perry takes a jet ski out on Lake Mead despite the film crew's warning not to do so. Thrown off the jet ski, he injures himself and is prescribed Vicodin for the pain. 18 months later, Perry has an addiction to Vicodin and is taking 55 pills each day. As a lesser dose would cause withdrawal, he spends much of his time sourcing the drug by faking illness or finding corrupt medics. Perry believes his addiction is a secret. However, a former girlfriend realizes he needs help and arranges for him to see a doctor. When filming for season 3 of Friends ends, Perry checks into the Hazelden Treatment Center in Minnesota. Several magazines announce the development on their front covers. During a rapid detox, Perry has a grand mal seizure, but a month later he leaves the Hazelden sober. He begins filming season 4 looking his healthiest. 2 months later, he starts drinking again. In 1999, Perry becomes infatuated with a movie co-star, but she falls in love with someone else. The same year, he stars in The Whole 9 Yards with Bruce Willis. The movie is a box office hit, fulfilling Perry's lifelong ambition of simultaneously starring in the #1 TV show and #1 film. However, he has an addiction to pills again and is often hungover on the set of Friends. At one point, Matt LeBlanc discreetly wakes him up as they are filming a scene together. In between seasons and films, Perry falls ill with severe abdominal pain. He calls his girlfriend, ABC President Jamie Tarsis, who takes him to the hospital. When doctors tell Perry he has pancreatitis from excessive alcohol consumption, he rejects the diagnosis and gets Jamie to take him home. However, when his pain intensifies, they drive to a different hospital, where he receives the same diagnosis. Perry is treated in the hospital for a month, and Jamie stays with him at night. Doctors prescribe the opioid Dilaudid, which becomes his new favorite drug. While in the hospital, he signs a $50 million contract for seasons 6 and 7 of Friends. Perry's father invites him to stay with his family for a while so he can attend AA meetings. On the way, the actor swerves to avoid another vehicle and crashes into a house, wrecking the outside stairs and living room. No one is hurt, but the story appears in People magazine. Perry begins drinking and taking Vicodin again, and his father asks him to leave. When Perry starts filming the new Friends season, he is as high as a kite. As well as drinking, he is taking methadone in an attempt to quit Vicodin. One day, Jennifer Aniston tells Perry that the cast knows about his drinking problem, as he smells of alcohol. Promising to fix the situation, Perry asks his manager to get him a movie role. Filming Friends at the same time as the movie Serving Sarah, Perry regularly flies from Texas to California. Every day he consumes a quart of vodka in addition to methadone, Xanax, and cocaine. Joining Perry in Texas, Jamie Tarsis convinces him he needs treatment. Consequently, production on the movie stops, and filming of his scenes in Friends is postponed. At a rehabilitation center in Marina del Rey, Perry reads The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. He realizes he is not alone in his struggle with addiction and acknowledges that he must find a way to stay permanently sober. Perry enters a rehabilitation center in Malibu, where he lives for 3 months. One night, he and the other patients watch the Academy Awards. Seeing Julia Roberts receive an Oscar for Erin Brockovich, he jokes, "I'll take you back." In May 2001, Perry is transported from the treatment center to the Friends set to film Monica and Chandler's wedding. Chapter 6, Bruce Willis. The memoir returns to 1999. Perry lives alone in a luxurious house overlooking Los Angeles. He accepts the lead role in The Whole Nine Yards, co-starring Bruce Willis. During filming in Montreal, the actors stay in the same hotel, and Willis hosts parties in his suite. Perry takes Xanax to help him sleep after days spent filming and then drinking with his co-star. He realizes that while Willis likes to party, he can also stop. Meanwhile, Perry fears his addictions will kill him. For years later, Perry and Willis star in the sequel, The Whole 10 Yards. The movie fails to live up to the original. In 2001, Perry leaves the Malibu treatment center free of addictions and cravings. Expressing gratitude to Jamie Tarsis for supporting him, he then breaks up with her, saying he needs to focus on his sobriety. In reality, Perry wants to have sex with as many women as possible. He begins every date with a well-practiced speech explaining his disinterest in commitment. During this period, he meets many perfect women but ends the relationship if they show signs of emotional attachment. One of them is Natasha Wagner, the daughter of Natalie Wood. Years after they stop seeing each other, Natasha calls Perry to tell him she and her partner have had a baby girl. Perry cries, realizing he could have had a child with her. Perry becomes a sponsor and advisor to other people who have alcohol addictions. At the same time, he embarks on season 9 of Friends. He remains sober for the whole season and is nominated for an Emmy. However, his sobriety does not last. When a girlfriend becomes distressed at his lack of commitment, Perry takes 3 Vicodin from her bedside table. Soon, he is drinking and taking pills again. Chapter 7, The Benefit of Friends. In January 2004, the last episode of Friends is made. The other cast members cry, but Perry feels numb. He is taking buprenorphine, an opioid used for detox, to which he now has an addiction. Perry is nominated for an Emmy, a Golden Globe, and a SAG Award for his starring role in The Ron Clark Story, a movie about a teacher in a Harlem high school. He also receives Emmy nominations for appearances in the acclaimed TV show The West Wing. However, the poor performance of The Whole 10 Yards damages his reputation, and his movie roles dry up. Breaking up with his girlfriend Rachel, Perry feels lonely and lost. He starts drinking and using drugs again and moves house often. Finally, he experiences the golden light moment and becomes sober. When Perry is offered a role in Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, he believes it is his next big break. There is substantial excitement around the show, run by the West Wing creators Aaron Sorkin and Thomas Schlamm. Like Friends, Studio 60 is supposed to be an ensemble show with all actors receiving the same fee. However, Perry feels he cannot accept $50,000 per show. As his is the most prominent role, he negotiates $175,000. In contrast with Perry's experience filming Friends, he finds that Sorkin rejects his ideas, and actors are told to stick rigidly to the script. The show fails to find a sufficiently large audience and is cancelled after a single season. The author is 36 when he meets a new girlfriend at her 23rd birthday party. For 2 years, they keep to his rules of no commitment. However, realizing he loves her, Perry has an artist paint a romantic picture of them as a Christmas present. He plans to propose when he gives his girlfriend the painting, but fear prevents him. Perry writes the sitcom Mr. Sunshine. He plays the leading role, but the show is short-lived due to low ratings. While making Mr. Sunshine, he relapses into addiction. Next, he stars in Go On, playing a widowed sports talk radio host. This show, too, is cancelled after 1 season. Perry again relapses and enters a treatment facility in Utah. Chapter 8, Odyssey. Perry undergoes treatment at the Cirque Lodge in Utah. Here, a counselor named Burton leads Perry to consider his substance use in a new light, suggesting that he likes the drama and chaos of addiction. Consequently, Perry begins to let go of some of his childhood issues and resolves to be a better person. In the center, he tries to help other residents and sets up a ping-pong table for everyone to enjoy. Perry leaves Cirque Lodge healthy and ready to commit permanently to his current relationship. However, his girlfriend does not seem to like the change in him, and they agree to separate. Perry becomes involved in addiction activism with his friend Earl Hightower. Hightower is a well-known inspirational speaker at Alcoholics Anonymous and also helps celebrity clients with addiction. The author meets him in 2001, and Hightower becomes his sponsor, saving his life several times. Together, the friends campaign to promote drug courts. They argue that non-violent offenders with addiction should be offered treatment instead of imprisonment. Consequently, Perry is awarded a Champion of Recovery award in 2013. He also goes into business with Hightower, setting up sober living houses. The author invests $500,000 and transforms his home into a sober living center called Perry House. The facility loses money, and Perry is forced to sell. Despite asking Hightower to return his investment, he is not reimbursed. Losing faith in his friend and mentor, Perry starts using alcohol and drugs again. Perry co-produces and stars in a TV version of Neil Simon's play The Odd Couple. Despite his enthusiasm for the project, his addictions mean he is often late and high. Once sober, the author writes a stage play called The End of Longing. In 2016, the show premieres in London's West End, with Perry playing a character with alcoholism. Tickets sell well, but reviews of the show are not complimentary. Perry is also hurt when his former long-term girlfriend, who now lives in London, declines his invitation to the play, saying that she is getting married and does not have time for friends. The End of Longing transfers to Broadway but receives poor reviews and makes only $600. Chapter 9, Three's Not Company, 3 ruins everything. Perry is sober for 2 years and decides he wants a long-term partner and children. During this period, he falls in love with Laura, a TV writer and stand-up comedian. At the same time, he becomes infatuated with a woman named Rome, who he meets at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Perry secretly dates both women simultaneously, but after 6 months, he decides his long-term future lies with Laura. Rome is angry when he ends their relationship. After choosing Laura, Perry's growing intimacy with his girlfriend begins to scare him. Consequently, he starts taking pills again. His addiction escalates, and 6 months later he goes to a Malibu sober living house. Laura ends their relationship. While weaning himself off the detox drug Suboxone, Perry's withdrawal symptoms include suicidal feelings. Afraid of being alone, he spends $300 on flowers for Laura. Visiting his former girlfriend, he declares he wants to marry her. As they are talking, Rome enters Laura's house, and it is clear the two women are close friends. Realizing his mission is hopeless, Perry flies to a recovery center in Colorado to detox from Suboxone. Years later, the author apologizes to Laura and Rome and discovers that they met at an AA meeting. He invites the women and their new partners to dinner at his home. After they leave, Perry feels lonely. Chapter 10: The Big Terrible Thing. The author recounts various incidents from his life, illustrating the severity of his addictions. While staying in a New York hotel with sober companions, he orders hotel staff to hide bottles of vodka in his bathtub. He also admits to stealing pills from medicine cabinets when looking around open houses. While filming the romantic comedy Serving Sarah, opposite Elizabeth Hurley, he is so incapacitated by drugs and alcohol that he naps between scenes, waking up just long enough to scream into a camera, and then go back to sleep. Although no one on set challenges him, he knows everyone involved in the movie is angry. After going to a rehabilitation center, he returns to complete the film. Perry's speech is slurred for much of the movie, so he tries to make amends by re-recording his voice. He also goes out of his way to promote the movie. Despite his efforts, the film is a flop. The author revisits some of his lowest moments. He describes his shame and regret when he realized his opiate addiction had caused his colon to rupture. He also recalls waking in his Los Angeles apartment to find his mother and Keith Morrison in the room. Perry and his girlfriend had passed out from drugs the previous evening, and his mother told the girlfriend to leave. The author expresses gratitude to both his parents for their support. For example, he describes how his father intervened with the makers of Friends when they pressured his son to return to filming. Perry now considers himself sober, despite continuing to take the detox drug Suboxone. He partially attributes his sobriety to the severity of his addictions. While working on Mr. Sunshine, he drank up to 14 double vodkas every night and did not feel intoxicated. The author believes that his tolerance for drugs and alcohol became so high that he could not satiate his addiction. Perry claims he would swap places with any of his less successful friends who do not have the disease of addiction. However, he believes that the severity of his struggles leaves him well placed to help other people as an AA sponsor. The author credits Alcoholics Anonymous with teaching him how to be a better person. For example, the AA process of taking a personal moral inventory helped him to become less egotistical. He also acknowledges that his fear of being abandoned was irrational. He notes that few women have rejected him, and only one deeply hurt him. Perry describes recently seeing the former girlfriend at a play reading. While she revealed she had 2 children, he had to admit to being single. The author reveals that, as a consequence of his opioid addiction, he needs further bowel surgeries. Perry also notes that he has gained weight from giving up smoking and barely recognizes himself. Nevertheless, he perceives himself as a more mature and authentic human being. He is now content to write, collect art, and look for a life partner with whom he can have a family. The author is also having a new house built. Chapter 11: Batman. Perry confirms that he is still sober, no longer smokes, and shares his home with his assistant Aaron. He admits he did not envision being single at the age of 52. However, he feels grateful for all the people who have been important in his life. He acknowledges his parents, his friends, the women in his life, the people who helped him overcome addiction, and his co-stars. Recalling the moment from Chapter 7 when he alone was unable to cry at the filming of the final episode of Friends, he says that during the Friends reunion, he was the cast member who cried the most. He now feels able to embrace life and new challenges. He is currently writing screenplays and has taken up the sport of pickleball. Addressing the reader directly, Perry offers the benefit of his experience. When facing a crisis, he advises readers to ask, "What would Batman do?"